Traditional Japanese houses have been called washitsu. In modern Japan, many houses have shifted to a Western-style exterior. However, the inside is a different story. The interior remains traditional. As mentioned before, Japan is a country of limited land, so the Japanese have adapted by making one room useful for many purposes.
Many of the huge number of tourists who visit Japan every year from all over the world choose to stay in Japanese-style inns called ryokan. The rooms at the ryokan called washitsu provide a taste of traditional Japanese-style life. We'd like to demonstrate the ingenious use of space found in the washitsu by looking at several of the special features developed by Japanese culture. The first essential of a washitsu is the original Japanese flooring called tatami. Each tatami mat, made of rushes, is around 180 centimeters long and 90 centimeters wide. The great advantage of using tatami mats is that they provide flexibility to how the room is used. For example, the room can be a dining room if a table is placed in the middle, or a bedroom if futon mattresses are spread out on the mats. Most traditional Japanese rooms have a tokonoma alcove, designated as a space for displaying a hanging scroll and a seasonal flower arrangement. The boldness involved in including that kind of space in a relatively small house is a clear indication of the aesthetic sense of the Japanese regarding the use of space. Japanese people can find peace of mind in a multi-purpose washitsu, taking time to appreciate the beauty of the flower arrangement, or even lying down on the soft tatami mats when they feel tired. Washitsu rooms are divided by fusuma, sliding wooden doors covered with paper. When the fusuma are closed, a very cozy and private space is created. But if the fusuma are removed, a much larger room can easily be created as a dining space for many people. Here, on the upper reaches of a river in Kyoto, the ancient capital of Japan, the flow of the river water naturally cools the air around it. Japanese-style rooms with matting are built out above the river to make use of this natural air conditioning effect. This is another example of Japan's traditional attitude of flexibility regarding the optimum use of space. The washitsu demonstrates how limited space can be freely used. When visiting Japan, we hope you'll have a chance to stay in one and experience part of Japanese culture.
The kado comes from the tradition of placing flowers in front of the Buddha statues. It has been a ritual since ancient times. Many people study the art of kado in order to improve their minds. So let's take a look at the Japanese life with flowers.
This is the traditional style of Japanese flower arrangement called ikebana. Around 5 million people study ikebana in classes all over Japan. The Japanese use a sense of creativity to bring nature into their homes through arrangements using seasonal flowers. In summer, the large morning glory flowers come into bloom. The morning glory has been much loved by the people of Tokyo as a symbol of summer since well over 200 years ago, when the city was known as Edo. More than 100,000 pots are sold at the morning glory markets held every year, even today. The chrysanthemum has been the symbolic flower of autumn since the olden days. People add richness and interest to their life by tenderly cultivating seasonal flowers. A technique called senrin-zukuri is used to produce multiple blooms for competitions. In this case, there are 300 flowers of the same size on one stem. Some people can produce a stem bearing up to 2,000 flowers. 150 years ago, the grafting technology existed to have more than 100 types of chrysanthemum blooming at the same time on one tree. Despite the cold Japanese winter, the ume Japanese plum trees start blooming at the end of January. It's not unusual for the buds to be covered in snow. Spring is the highlight season for Japanese flowers. Huge numbers of people go out to view the cherry blossoms. The 30,000 cherry trees on Mount Yoshino in the ancient city of Nara gradually come into bloom one after another, starting in the valley and moving up to the summit. The principal image at this temple, where an event is held to celebrate the cherry blossoms in full bloom, is said to have been carved from a cherry tree from Mount Yoshino. The cherries are in full bloom for about 1 week. It takes about a month for the cherry blossom front to advance steadily across the Japanese archipelago, from south to north. This is a cherry tree in a pot. Many people enjoy putting a lot of time and energy into perfecting the shape of cherry trees and bringing them into bloom. Since ancient times, the Japanese have cherished a life that is lived with flowers that incorporate the changing seasons.